Hey everybody, ronarray here, and I've been farming a lot of bosses in 0.3. However, one of the bosses always escaped my grasp. Today I want to focus farm Kulemak and try to get as many jewels as possible. In this video, I'm going to showcase the results of 125 Kulemaks, showcase how fast you can do that, and is it even a profitable farm, especially that far in the league. Let's go, and I will be able to showcase all the data that I collected. So to access Kulemak, you just need to go into the well location and jump into the well when you already have an invitation. And to reset the boss, because a lot of people have issues with resetting it, you just need to go out for your login screen, click on the play button and log it into hideout. If you will do it after the killing the boss, you will be able to rejoin the well again and just restart the location. You can also always go to the Well of Souls, and when you're going to the Well of Souls, you can click the Black Cathedral and restart the location that way as well. However, logging out is just a faster way in general, and while I've been farming the boss, I definitely recommend that instead. Including the time that you're going to spend to enter the boss fight and restart it, the boss takes about 2.5 minutes. And with sorting of the items and buying invitation, I think we can up it to 3 minutes per every boss occasionally. That way, 125 bosses took me a pretty significant amount of time, and it's been about 6 hours in general. So that's a very big time sink by itself, and I think it should provide at least some amount of profit to justify such a big time that I spent farming that boss. As an upside, entrances cost only 9 exalteds each, so for 125 entrances I paid about 1125 exalteds, which is approximately 2.8, so almost 3 divines in general. It's a very low price right now, and I think farming that boss making a lot of sense, especially on a budget. Now let's talk about the loot. So first off, I dropped 125 rings, and most of those rings are pretty useless. Every fight is going to give you that ring, which is Grip of Kulemak. It could have a different modifiers which are unique, and sometimes occasionally those rings can sell. However, most of the combinations will cost absolutely nothing, because at the moment almost everybody just playing like rare rings instead. So 125 rings that I dropped during that farm only good for one thing. You can just disenchant all of them and get chance shards in the process. So 125 rings, it's pretty much 125 chance shards, which is not too bad because that's about 12 orb of chance in general. So next step is the currency. After 125 attempts, I dropped some additional currency, which is like 1 orb of annulment, some greater orb of chaoses, and basic Val orbs together with basic exalteds. Unfortunately, not a single divine being dropped, and the biggest part of the currency profit is just orb of chances, because all the orb of chances are coming from disenchanting all the uniques that I'm dropping from the boss, and there have been a pretty decent amount of it. So in the end, I finished up with 24 orb of chances, which is not bad in the current economy. 18 orb of chances is pretty much 1 divine, so I think I made about 1.5, maybe even 2 divines with all the currency that I dropped. So I also dropped about 49 Darkness Enthroned belts, all of them are pretty much here. Unfortunately, since there's a huge roll difference on most of those, most of them dropped in a very bad condition, so like 50, 54% and stuff like that. Out of all of those, there's one with gloves, 94%, which is not too bad, one with a helmet, 94% as well, and one with the boots with 93%. I believe those 3 could be able to be corrupted, so like I can corrupt them to get some particular profit back. Or I can just sell them as it is. They could sell for about 1 annulment because like 3 charms and 94% for helmet and gloves with 2 charms could cost at least something. However, I don't believe that I can get more than like 1 divine profit for it, and most of it will just become another part of Orb of Chance, so I'm just going to disenchant all of them. And now let's come back for the most important part of the drop. Timeless jewels. Those jewels are Undying Hate, and you will be able to sell them for like 3 divines approximately or 6 Orb of Annulments. I got 9 of them, so 27 divines comes from the jewels. And on top of it, I also got pretty lucky, and I dropped Pharaoh's Rune of the Chase. Pharaoh's Runes of the Chase could be like 17 divines at the moment. I also dropped a pretty nice, just like a unique charm. It's not really cost much, but it's kinda cool that it dropped. So that part is like the main point of the profit. Just from the jewels together with Pharaoh Rune of Chase, I made 44 divines. And based on what we had from the rest, I think general profit been about 46 divines minus 3 that I spent to buy all invitations. So I ended up with 43 divines in profit, mostly from the jewels and from the Pharaoh's Rune of the Chase. I also believe that I got really lucky with the rune, and if the rune would not drop, the profit would be significantly less. Since I spent about 6 hours farming it, together with the rune, I made about 7 divines per each hour farming that boss. However, a very interesting moment is if the rune itself would not drop, I would make only 4 divines per hour. And I think right now Kulemak invitations providing about 4 divines per hour in general on average, because I believe that dropping the rune not going to happen in the most cases, and that just me being lucky. So 7 divines with the rune and 4 divines without the rune, which is not too horrible, since the boss itself is very easy. I think if you don't know what to farm and your build can't handle any other type of content and you don't want to farm other bosses, you can still focus on Kulemak farming and make those 4 divines per hour, because it's not absolutely horrible. However, there are definitely better types of farming at the moment and even better bosses, so that explaining pretty good why Kulemak is not too popular. Another interesting topic is like, should we identify Undying Hates to try and heal like Tecrod, or just sell them as they are? At the moment, I probably would just sell them as they are and try to get like 6-7 Orb of Annulments from each instead of identifying, because for identifying it's going to be a pretty big gamba, and even Tecrod Jewel, if it costs at least something, I believe the chance to hit it is pretty low, and bad Undying Hates are not going to sell well. So that's what we ended up with, and I believe Kulemak farming is pretty average at the moment, but it's definitely much better than I expected while doing it. Especially since it's pretty chill and you don't need to do anything. The worst part of it is probably the restarting, because you will need to go out to the login screen and come back, which could be pretty annoying. Let me know in the comments if you farmed the boss and dropped anything cool from it, and if it was profitable for you. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. ronarray out.